Men should be either treated generously or destroyed, because they take revenge for slight injuries. For heavy ones, they cannot. Machiavelli's words cut like a blade through centuries, and they land here, in your present life, more relevant than ever. You've felt it before. That moment when someone smiles across the table, their eyes warm, their voice pleasant, yet beneath that surface, they are already engineering your fall. Maybe it was a colleague offering a compliment in public while privately lobbying against you. Maybe it was a so-called friend twisting your story just enough to cast doubt on your character. You didn't hear the sword leave its sheath, but you felt the sting of the cut. In these moments, you are not in a conversation. You are in a duel, and in this duel, words are not for communication. They are for positioning. Each one is a feint, a thrust, a parry. The true battlefield is not the table you're sitting at or the room you're standing in. It's the unseen terrain of perception, the thoughts, opinions, and stories being written about you in real time. Whoever controls that terrain controls the battle. Your enemy is not the smiling face across from you. It is the loss of narrative, the slipping away of control over how others see you, speak of you, and trust you. This is the enemy that destroys kings without drawing blood, that topples generals without firing a shot. If you fail to see this, you will fight the wrong war. You will attack the person, not the perception. You will win the skirmish, but lose the throne, so you must think as a ruler thinks. A ruler doesn't react to every insult like a hot-headed soldier charging into a trap. A ruler moves with patience, precision, and calculation. When they act, it is decisive. When they strike, it is final. And until that moment, they play the long game. This is where subtlety becomes your greatest weapon. You do not meet the smile with suspicion. You meet it with one of your own. You do not rush to defend every whisper. You plant truths that will grow into towering reputations. You do not waste arrows on every bird in the sky. You wait for the one shot that changes the war. Every time you walk into a room, understand this. You are entering an arena where your image is the crown on your head, and every rival is eyeing it. Some will lunge openly. Others will bow while sharpening their daggers. The foolish expose themselves quickly. The dangerous will disguise their advance beneath layers of charm. That's why you must always wear your own mask. A mask of calm authority that reveals nothing but commands respect. In this kind of war, you win not by shouting louder, but by ensuring that when you speak, your words carry the weight of inevitability. You win not by chasing every rumor, but by making your truth so unshakable that lies collapse against it. You win by seeing the battle not as an exchange of blows, but as a chessboard, where each move forces the opponent into a weaker position until their king stands alone. Never forget, the smile before the strike is not weakness. It is the mark of the strategist. Because when you finally do move, there will be no warning, no mercy, and no recovery for your rival. You will have already won in the mind before you ever act in the world. Control the perception, and you control the war. It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles. Machiavelli understood that a crown is nothing without the strength of the mind beneath it. Your mind is your true throne, unseen, yet it is the seat from which every order, every strategy, every victory will flow. And like any throne, it is always under siege. Rivals, distractions, fear, doubt. They are the barbarians at your gates. If they breach your defenses, it won't. You will be a ruler in name only, a king toppled without a battle. The first line of defense is your mental fortification. Discipline is your wall. Routine is your gate. Clarity is your watchtower. The Romans, in their height, built their cities not just with stone, but with order. Every road, every wall, every guard post had a purpose. Your mind requires the same architecture. If you rise each day at random, consume whatever thoughts are thrown at you, and respond to every distraction, you have already surrendered the city. But if you wake with intention, control what enters your mind, and decide when and where to focus your forces, you make the first breach impossible. Once your walls are strong, you must manage the politics inside the castle, the court of your own impulses. Imagine them as ministers standing before your throne. The minister of ambition, urging you to act boldly. The minister of fear, whispering all the ways you might fail. The minister of pride, demanding public recognition. The minister of patience, advising restraint. A wise ruler does not silence all but one voice. He listens to each, measures their counsel, and then issues commands based on strategy, not on panic, vanity, or rage. The ruler who lets his ministers govern him is already lost. But perhaps the most dangerous threat comes from within. The weak counsel you allow to take root in your mind. These are not always obvious enemies. They can sound reasonable, even kind. Take it easy, they say. Don't push too hard. Or worse, you're not ready. These voices are the soft poison in your wine. The traitors who open the gates from the inside. You must exile them without ceremony. Replace them with thoughts that sharpen you. Reminders of past victories. Visions of the empire you are building. The inevitability of your rise. The battle for the mind is not won once. It is fought every day. Morning. You either sit upon your throne in command, or you let someone else, an enemy, a distraction, a weakness, sit there in your place. A crown may be invisible, but it is heavy, and it demands vigilance. Rule your mind, and the world will follow. Lose your mind, and the world will never obey. Guard the throne within, or you will lose the kingdom without. He who is slow to act is always at the mercy of the one who moves first. Machiavelli understood the timeless truth of the first strike. In politics, in war, in life. The opening moves set the rhythm of the battle, and once that rhythm is established, the slower player is forced to dance to the other's tune. Morning is your first move. It is your chance to seize the initiative before your rivals have even opened their eyes. Voive. Think of the day as a battlefield. When dawn breaks, the field is empty. The air is still. No banners raised, no armies clashing. This is when the wise general positions his forces, digs his trenches, and chooses the ground upon which the enemy will have to fight. In chess, a strong opening doesn't just control the board. It forces your opponent into a defensive posture. They are already reacting to you, and that subtle shift determines everything that follows. Wake before the others, and you are already dictating the shape of the day. Your early hours are the time to prepare your psychological ambush. Not the kind where you lash out first, but the kind where you walk into every room armed and untouchable. This doesn't happen by accident. It is built in ritual. Perhaps it's an hour of silence before speaking to anyone, sharpening your focus like a blade on a whetstone. Maybe it's exercise to flood your body with strength before the first challenge comes. Maybe it's reviewing your plan for the day so thoroughly that no question, no curveball can shake you. These quiet acts become Omi armor. While others stumble into the day half-formed, you are already marching in full battle dress, and while they sleep, you patrol the information front. In ancient war, the commander who knew the enemy's movements before the battle began almost always won. Today, information is still your sharpest weapon. Scan the terrain, industry trends, market shifts, political changes, even the subtle moods of the people you will face. Know who has moved overnight and who has been silent. When you walk into a negotiation or a meeting with knowledge no one else has yet seen, you're not just playing the game, you're rewriting the rules. The danger of ignoring this is simple. You begin your day already under siege. By waking late, by skipping preparation, you give your rivals the high ground. You spend the day responding instead of commanding. Every conversation becomes a defense, every decision a reaction. You are no longer the general. You are the soldier taking orders from the chaos around you. So claim the battlefield before the first blow. Rise before the sun. Arm yourself in mind, body, and information. Make your rivals spend the day trying to catch up to a position you secured before they even arrived. Own the morning, and you own the war. Never was anything great achieved without danger. Machiavelli knew that danger is not always in movement. Sometimes, it is in the stillness before the storm. The impatient ruler lunges at every provocation and bleeds strength in small, meaningless battles. But the wise strategist knows this. Silence is not the absence of action. Silence is the sharpening of the blade. In any confrontation, whether across a negotiation table, in a heated meeting, or face-to-face with a rival, there will be a moment when the air tightens. Words hang, waiting. That is when most people rush to fill the void. They spill their plans, their fears, their position. You will not. You will master the art of the strategic pause. In history's great councils and courts, leaders have used silence as a weapon sharper than any sword. It unsettles. It makes the other side squirm, forces them to reveal more than they intended. Like a chess player pausing before a decisive move, your stillness signals that you are calculating, and that calculation terrifies them. Think of the predator in the wild. The lion does not roar before it strikes. The eagle does not scream before it dives. They wait. Hours, sometimes days. Motionless. Watching. Each heartbeat a calculation. When the prey relaxes, when the guard drops, that is when the strike comes. Swift, precise, and unstoppable. You must be the same. Patience is not weakness. It is power in its purest form. Your rival will burn their energy, trying to provoke you, desperate to pull you into a battle they control. You will not move until the moment benefits you entirely. And in the modern arena, resisting provocation is its own kind of dominance. People expect instant reactions to messages, to insults, to challenges. Social media, news cycles, and workplace politics all reward speed over wisdom. But a delayed response, a measured reply, carries far greater weight. It says, I am not ruled by impulse. I am not playing on your timeline. You are playing on mine. The one who controls the tempo controls the fight. Silence is not retreat. It is positioning. It is letting the enemy walk deeper into the trap, while you remain unseen. Every second you hold your tongue, you make them wonder what you're thinking, what you're planning, what you already know. That uncertainty eats at their confidence until they make the fatal move for you. So do not be drawn into the noise. Do not flinch at the first swing. Let your rivals exhaust themselves in the chaos they create, while you stand unshaken, watching, waiting. And when you finally move, it will be with the precision of a blade that has been aiding in the dark, honed to perfection. Your silence is a weapon. Keep it sharp. It is much safer to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Machiavelli understood that survival in power is not about kindness. It is about removing the dangers that can dethrone you. Threats left unchecked grow like vines on a tree. At first they seem harmless, even decorative. But as they coil and tighten, they weaken the trunk, starve the branches, and eventually bring the whole structure crashing down. A wise ruler cuts the vines early, before they strangle the tree. History is a graveyard of leaders who failed to act in time. The Roman Emperor, Augustus, for example, mastered the art of political purges without open war. He eliminated rivals with quiet precision, stripping them of influence, isolating them from their allies, and replacing them with loyal men who owed their power to him alone. He didn't storm the gates. He dismantled them brick by brick. His enemies often didn't realize they were finished until their armies had melted away and their voices carried no weight. You must do the same. See threats not as they are today, but as they could be tomorrow, and act before they ripen into danger. In the modern world, elimination rarely looks like exile or execution. It looks like irrelevance. You don't always need to destroy your rival. You simply need to make them powerless. If someone at work is trying to undermine you, you don't rush into open confrontation, which only feeds their narrative. Instead, you pull their audience away. You redirect the flow of influence until their voice becomes an echo in an empty hall. If a competitor is trying to match your moves, you shift the game entirely, leaving them fighting for ground you've already abandoned. When you must act directly, do it with surgical precision. A careless attack creates chaos, and chaos creates opportunities for others to rise against you. A precise strike removes the key support holding your rival's position. Perhaps it's their most trusted ally. Perhaps it's a resource they cannot operate without. You don't swing wildly. You cut only what must be cut. And when you are finished, the body of their influence collapses in silence. The danger of inaction is that vines grow faster than you think. Today's minor rival becomes tomorrow's major threat. A single seed of opposition, left to take root, can split your power in two. You must train your eyes to see not only the tree you've built, but the shadowed growth around it. And when you see something tightening against your trunk, you cut. Without hesitation, without warning. Remove the threat early, and you keep the tree standing for decades. Hesitate, and you will one day look up to find the branches snapping under a weight you should have cleared long ago. Cut early, cut clean, cut completely. Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see but few can feel. Machiavelli understood that perception is a weapon as sharp as any blade. A ruler who reveals his true intentions too soon is already at a disadvantage, for his enemies will arm themselves before the first strike is made. This is why you must wear the mask of command, a face that shows warmth and composure while hiding the machinery of your strategy. History is filled with leaders who mastered this art. Julius Caesar walked into the Roman Senate with the poise of a man seeking peace, even as he dismantled the Republic piece by piece. Franklin D. Roosevelt's voice carried calm reassurance through the radio waves during the Great Depression, while behind the scenes, he was orchestrating sweeping political maneuvers that changed America forever. They understood that charm disarms. People lower their guard for those they believe to be agreeable, approachable, and harmless. That is when the true moves are made. In the modern arena, this becomes the skill of keeping the board unreadable. In a game of chess, a careless gesture, a quick glance at a piece, a shift in posture can betray your plan. The same is true in life. Every display of anger, frustration, or desperation hands your rival a weapon they can turn against you. Emotional neutrality keeps you untouchable. When your face remains steady, your tone even, you deny the opposition the map to your thinking. They are forced to guess at your intentions, and in that guessing, they make errors. But the mask is not stone. It is a smile. Not the smile of a fool, but the calculated curve of the lips that conceals the mind's edge. A smile is camouflage, allowing you to walk among rivals without them recognizing you as the predator in their midst. Imagine sitting across from someone who believes you are an ally, never suspecting that every pleasant word you speak is another step toward their checkmate. By the time the truth surfaces, the board is already locked in your favor, and the game is over. This is not deception for vanity's sake. It is survival. The world does not reward the openly hostile. It rewards the controlled, the composed, the cunning. By hiding your intent behind calm authority and a gracious demeanor, you dictate the terms of every engagement. Your enemies prepare for open war, while you advance in silence, shielded by the illusion you've built. Do not let them see your hand. Do not let them read your face. Wear the mask until the moment you choose to remove it. And when you do, it will already be too late for them to stop you. Show the smile. Hide the sword. Men are so simple and so subject to present necessities that he who deceives will always find someone who will let himself be deceived. Machiavelli knew that victory is not always taken by force. Sometimes it is stolen in silence, in the quiet man. Ipulation of the mind. The most dangerous assassin does not strike the body. He strikes the certainty of thought. The moment a rival begins to doubt themselves, they are already bleeding power. Planting seeds of doubt is an ancient tactic. In war, commanders have spread false reports to make entire armies believe they were surrounded when they were not. In politics, a subtle question whispered in the right ear has shifted alliances without a single public speech. You can do the same, not through lies so blatant they can be exposed, but through truths sharpened to wound. A small observation about a weakness they already fear. A question that makes them revisit a decision they thought was settled. You are not giving them answers. You are giving them shadows and letting their own mind do the rest. From there, you move to control through uncertainty. Imagine a general looking at the battlefield, unable to tell if the enemy will attack from the front, the flank, or not at all. That hesitation is fatal. When you make a rival second guess every move, they slow down. They hesitate in moments that demand speed. You can create this by being unpredictable, not letting your patterns be read. Sometimes you agree when they expect resistance. Sometimes you resist when they expect agreement. Like a predator circling in the dark, you make them realize they don't know where the strike will come from, or if it's already begun. And then comes the whisper campaign. In the modern world, Reputation is the high ground from which battles are won. You don't launch public attacks. That would make you the aggressor. Instead, you shape the air around them. You praise them faintly, so faintly it feels more like an evaluation than admiration. You tell stories that highlight their mistakes without ever calling them mistakes. You let others draw their own conclusions, but you have already decided what those conclusions will be. This is not slander. It is the steady erosion of the pedestal they stand on, until one day it collapses under their feet. This is the work of the inner assassin. Invisible, patient, precise. There are no open blows, no grand declarations of war. Only the gradual tightening of the psychological noose until your rival does the rest for you, cutting their own strength with their own hand. You will never be accused of striking. You will only be remembered as the one who remained standing when the other fell. Kill their certainty, and you kill their power. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. Machiavelli understood that survival belongs not to the harmless, but to the dangerous, who can conceal their teeth until the perfect moment. Inside you, there are two forces, the predator and the prey. The predator is hungry, focused, and lethal when it must be. The prey is timid, hesitant, easily herded by the noise of the crowd. Every day, with every choice, you are feeding one and starving the other. The first step is to identify your inner predator. This is not about malice. It is about strength. It is the part of you that sees opportunity when others see threat, that stays calm while others panic, that plans while others complain. It thrives in uncertainty, because uncertainty is where the weak retreat and the strong advance. This predator is not reckless. It is calculating, like a wolf stalking a target through the snow, conserving energy until the one clean strike ends the chase. You must know what traits make you formidable in the arena you've chosen, and you must sharpen them like claws on stone. But just as you feed the predator, you must starve the sheep within you. The sheep is comfortable in routine, satisfied with scraps, eager to follow the herd, even when the herd walks toward slaughter. It feeds on distraction, procrastination, and the approval of others. Every moment you indulge laziness, every time you delay action out of fear of judgment, you are throwing meat to the sheep while the wolf starves. In the modern world, this is why so many remain powerless. They feed the habits that make them predictable, dependent, and weak. Stop giving your time to what softens you. Stop giving your attention to what dulls your edge. History remembers those who fed their inner wolf without apology. Genghis Khan did not rise by trying to be all things to all people. He built on what made him unstoppable: speed, mobility, and relentless pursuit. Winston Churchill didn't waste his energy trying to be universally liked. He doubled down on his clarity of vision and command of language, strengths that turned words into weapons during Britain's darkest hours. They understood that power is not built by polishing every flaw. It is built by magnifying the strengths that already give you an advantage. The stakes are simple. Feed the predator and you will hunt. Feed the sheep, and you will be hunted. In the quiet moments, when no one is watching, you choose which one survives. Starve your weakness. Feed your power. All courses of action are risky, so prudence is not in avoiding danger, but in calculating risk and acting decisively. Machiavelli understood what every master strategist knows. Life is a chessboard, and the pieces are always moving. Every conversation, every meeting, every decision is a move toward checkmate. The amateur plays for the moment. The master plays for the endgame. If you want to win in this world, you must learn to see not just your next move, but the chain of moves that will follow. Sometimes that means sacrificing for position. In chess, a skilled player will give up a pawn or even a knight if it secures control over the board. It's not loss, it's investment. In war, a general might abandon a fortress to lure the enemy into overextending, only to cut off their supply lines and starve them into defeat. In life, you may have to give up a short-term gain, a deal, a title, a public victory, to gain the leverage that will guarantee the greater prize. The impatient player clutches at every scrap. The wise one lets go of what is small to seize what is decisive. You must also master the art of forcing your opponent's hand. This is where traps are set, invisible snares woven into the flow of the game. You present a choice that looks beneficial to them, but every path they take leads to your advantage. It might be offering them a role that feeds their ego, but removes them from the center of real influence. It might be steering a conversation so that they commit publicly to a position you can later dismantle. Like a predator leading prey toward the cliff's edge, you guide them without their knowledge, until the only moves left are the ones that weaken them. And then, there is the principle of dominating the center. In chess, the player who controls the central squares controls the flow of the match. In life, the center is any place of influence where decisions are made, resources are allocated, and narratives are shaped. It could be a leadership circle in your industry, the key project that determines your company's future, or the network of relationships that directs opportunity. You cannot win from the edges. You must be where the power is concentrated. And once you are there, you hold your ground like a fortress, making it impossible for rivals to dislodge you without losing everything. This is the difference between drifting through life and ruling it. The drift is random. The rule is deliberate. You are not just moving pieces. You are building inevitability, one calculated step at a time. Think 3 moves ahead, and the board is already yours. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. Machiavelli knew that no plan, no matter how perfect, survives without the will to enforce it. Strategy is the blueprint. Willpower is the hammer and chisel that carve it into reality. Without an iron will, you will bend at the first sign of pressure, crumble at the first taste of defeat. Will is not born, it is forged, hammered daily in the furnace of discipline. History is full of those who understood this truth. The Spartan warriors of ancient Greece did not become legends by accident. From boyhood, they endured the agoge, a brutal training system designed not just to build strength, but to forge unbreakable mental resolve. Roman legionaries marched for days with full armor, digging fortified camps every night, not because it was easy, but because repetition under hardship made them immovable in battle. These were not exercises in comfort. They were acts of conditioning. When the real war came, they didn't need courage. It was already in their bones. In the modern world, you don't train with spear or shield, but the principle is the same. You must create micro daily challenges that force your mind to bend toward strength. Wake earlier than you want to. Finish the task you want to avoid. Sit in discomfort without running from it. Every small act of discipline is a strike of the hammer against the steel of your will. Over time, these acts form armor that cannot be pierced by fatigue, temptation, or fear. But an iron will is not only about strength, it is about purity of purpose. Power corrupts, but it corrodes fastest when the will is unguarded. You must resist the slow decay that comes with comfort, with easy victories, with the applause of the crowd. Purpose is like a blade, sharp when maintained, dull when neglected. Imagine a king who stops patrolling his walls because the kingdom feels safe. It is only a matter of time before an enemy walks through the open gates. Your will must be patrolled daily, inspected for cracks, reinforced against complacency. The stakes are simple. If your will is weak, every strategy collapses the moment it meets resistance. If your will is strong, even flawed strategies can be bent, reshaped, and driven to victory. Every day you either sharpen it or you let it rust. Forge the will, and you forge the crown. It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles. Machiavelli knew that true power does not come from the crown itself. It comes from the unshakable foundation of the person wearing it. To become untouchable is to turn yourself into a fortress no rival can breach, no matter how many times they lay siege. It is to build walls so high and foundations so deep that even if the storms rage for years, you remain standing. The first wall of that fortress is your reputation. In history, the strongest rulers understood that perception often mattered more than raw force. Marcus Aurelius could endure political challenges because his name was synonymous with wisdom and justice. Even those who opposed him had to speak carefully, knowing the people's loyalty to his image. Your reputation must be unassailable, built on consistent action, not empty words. This means keeping promises, defending your integrity when it matters, and refusing to be dragged into petty disputes that tarnish your image. Once the people see you as incorruptible, every attack on your character looks like envy, and envy is a weak weapon. The second wall is independence, both economic and emotional. In the modern world, most people are controlled not by armies, but by obligations. A rival can choke your influence simply by pulling a lever they know you rely on: your paycheck, your approval ratings, your need to be liked. You must strip them of these levers. Build income streams you control. Cultivate skills that make you irreplaceable. Train yourself to need no validation to act. The one who cannot be starved or shamed into submission cannot be cornered. Freedom is not a gift. It is a weapon, and it must be forged deliberately. The third and final layer is invisible armor, the composure that hides every crack from the outside world. Imagine two generals facing each other before battle. One sweats, pacing, barking orders in panic. The other stands calm, unflinching, even smiling. Which one would you rather follow? Which one would you rather face? Calm under pressure is not just confidence. It is psychological warfare. It makes your rivals question their own strength, while wondering what advantage you are hiding. Even when you bleed, you do not show it. Even when the walls are shaking, you speak as if the fortress is untouched. Becoming untouchable is not arrogance. It is preparation. It is knowing that the world will test you, betray you, and try to break you, and making sure you've already removed every way they could succeed. The enemy may gather at your gates. They may shout, dig, and hurl their stones. But their voices will fade, their arms will tire, and your fortress will still stand. Build so high they cannot climb. Build so deep they cannot dig. Men rise from one ambition to another. First, they seek to secure themselves against attack, and then they attack others. Machiavelli knew the ultimate art of power was not in reckless charges or noisy battles, but in the quiet orchestration of inevitability. You are not a brawler in the streets, swinging wildly to prove your strength. You are a ruler in the shadows, moving pieces so precisely that by the time your rival realizes they've lost, there is no battlefield left for them to stand on. Everything you have done until now has been preparation for this moment. You fortified the throne of your mind, so no fear could dethrone you. You claimed the morning as your battlefield, gaining the first move advantage before they even rose from bed. You learned the weapon of stillness, letting silence lure them into overreaching. You cut vines before they strangled the tree, removing threats before they matured. You wore the mask of command, smiling while hiding the sword. You sent your inner assassin into the corridors of their mind, planting doubt until their confidence rotted from within. You fed the wolf and starved the sheep, sharpening your strength while denying weakness. You played the chessboard of life with foresight, sacrificing small pieces for decisive position. You forged your will daily, ensuring no resistance could break you. And you became untouchable, immune to every strike they could muster. Now, the Convergence. Like a general who has maneuvered his armies into a perfect encirclement, you don't need to shout attack. You simply close the ring. Their allies, already distanced from them, no longer answer calls. The resources they relied on have dried up, not by theft, but by quiet redirection. The narrative around them has shifted subtly, not enough for them to scream treachery, but enough that their influence feels brittle. They stand on what they think is solid ground, but beneath them, the supports have been quietly removed. One final gust will bring it all down. And here it comes, the metaphorical decapitation. This is not a bloody coup, but a moment so surgical it feels like gravity simply claimed them. A key position they assumed was theirs is given to someone else. A critical deal they believed secured slips away without fanfare. The audience they once commanded turns its head toward you, not in rebellion, but in recognition. There is no single blow they can point to, no scene they can replay to rally sympathy. Their power dies in silence, like a candle that burns down to its last ember without anyone noticing. You remain composed. No grand speeches, no public victory laps. Just the polite smile of triumph. The look of someone who never had to fight, because the outcome was always certain. They might even shake your hand, unsure whether you were friend or foe, because you gave them no battle to blame you for. And in that uncertainty, they can never strike back. The war is over before they knew it began. This is how empires are won in the modern age, not with noise, but with inevitability. You remove one brick at a time from the enemy's fortress until it collapses under its own weight. You don't just win the war, you make it so they cannot even tell a story where they were the hero fighting the villain. You leave them no battlefield, no rallying cry, no revenge to plot, only the quiet acceptance that they no longer matter. And as you stand on the high ground you have claimed, remember this: the silent conqueror does not win once. He wins again and again, because every rival sees what happened and cannot find the moment to stop it. They know only that they will never see it coming when it is their turn. End the game before they know they're playing. He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. Machiavelli understood that the throne you sit on in the world is only as secure as the one you command within your own mind. Every rival, every manipulator, every threat you will ever face seeks not just to harm you, but to unseat you from that inner throne. If they can shake your mind, they can take your crown without ever lifting a sword. This is why the ultimate victory is self-sovereignty, mastery over your thoughts, your time, your perception, and your strategy. When you control yourself, you are immune to the control of others. Your emotions are not their leverage. Your time is not their currency. Your attention is not their trap. The ruler who governs himself first cannot be governed by any rival. This is why you must guard your mind like a citadel, reinforce your habits like city walls, and patrol your focus as if it were the most valuable territory in the world. Because it is. But mastery does not mean arrogance. Power, when paired with grace, becomes untouchable. This is the art of polite power. You can smile in the presence of those who plot against you, not because you are blind, but because you know their plans cannot touch you. You can extend courtesy without surrendering advantage, listen without yielding, and appear generous while securing your own position. The most dangerous ruler is the one who makes allies feel valued and enemies feel irrelevant, all without ever raising his voice. From this day forward, carry yourself as one who has already claimed the throne. Stand, speak, and decide as if the crown is unshakable. Let no distraction pull you from it, no insult provoke you from it, and no fear make you abandon it. When the world sees that you cannot be rattled, it stops trying to rattle you. Command yourself, and you command everything. Rule within, and you will rule without.